Welcome to the Rental Licensing Lunch and Learn webinar series. This series is being presented by the Neighborhood Services team with the Planning and Code Administration Department. What we're going to do is we're going to walk you through a rental interior inspection. We're going to go room by room, covering the most common items that we come across while conducting a rental interior inspection. Do not use this webinar as a checklist. This is only an advisory. What we want you to do is just be able to understand where the most common items are that we come across and give the inspector's thoughts while we're conducting one of these inspections. Today is the last item that we're covering for this Lunch and Learn series here. So this is just for you to get a better understanding of the items that we're coming across while we're conducting an inspection. At the end of the webinar, you're always welcome to ask us questions. You can always just click or tap on the Q&A button here to ask those questions and just submit them in there. And at the end, if time allows, we'll answer those questions. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to cover the smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms. First, we're going to turn things over to Mike in the basement. So Mike, we're going to kick it off to you.
Hi, I'm Mike Sable with the City of Hagerstown. Today, I'm going to go over the installation of smoke detectors in the basement. One of the parts is, in Maryland, at a minimum, a single-family home must be protected by a 10-year long life, sealed battery-powered, tamper-proof smoke alarm. Okay. Smoke alarms need to be tested once a month. Simply just pushing on the button and to get it to activate. That's all we require you to do. And actually, it's safe for the family to ensure that they're working and operating properly. Location, we require them in the basement in close proximity to the stairs. But down there, where do we want them? We want them on the bottom part of the joist. We don't want it up in the pocket. We required it at the bottom part of the joist because studies have shown that the smoke collection, it takes too long for it to actually penetrate the pocket itself, and it will delay the activation of the smoke detectors.
Thank you, Mike, for going over to some of the things in the basement here. Did you know that approximately half of smoke alarm failures actually occur because the smoke alarms have either been disconnected or the battery's been removed or because of causing a nuisance alarm? So that's why the state of Maryland passed a law actually to make it where the smoke alarms are sealed batteries and tamper resistant so that these were not removed from the locations that smoke alarms are to be mounted. Next, we're going to turn things over here to Jason, where he's going to be covering things that are related to the mechanical systems.
My name is Jason. We're going to be discussing the devices themselves, the smoke detectors as well as the carbon monoxide. As far as the smoke alarms go, the detectors, there are going to be two types of detectors that you will find. The first version is a ionization detector, and then there's the photoelectric. As far as what they detect, a ionization detector is more for a fast flaming fire. As far as the photoelectric is more quicker to detect the smoldering type fires. Per se, if you fall asleep, a cigarette, something on a match or something starts to smolder. As far as recommendations, recommend that you can get a combination detector so you have both protections of both. Now, as far as if you were to have one detector without a combination, we do recommend a photoelectric. You would have to check your jurisdictions, and some states have banned the single use of ionization by themselves due to the length of time of other types of fires detecting. So in recap, if you are to have one type, we do recommend the photoelectric, if not a combination. Now, as far as placement, they are required to be on every level of the home, except the attic. The attic is an uninhabitable area. Unless it is finished off to where it's livable, then it would be required. But it's just a standard attic is not considered habitable and is not required. Now, along the lines of the carbon monoxide, the same goes for the carbon monoxide. It is required to be on every level except the attic because of an uninhabitable area. Now, you can also have a combination detector that has the carbon monoxide with the smoke detector to make it convenient and also cost effective, but it is not required. Now, the carbon monoxide is to be UL 2034 listed in its rating. But again, to recap, we want smoke detectors and carbon monoxides on every level except any uninhabitable space like an attic.
Thanks, Jason, for covering some of those things with smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms. Did you actually know that carbon monoxide or CO poisoning is one of the leading causes of incidental or accidental deaths in America? So now we're going to turn it over to Sean, who's going to be covering things here in the living room.
All right, so we're here in the living room. And when it comes to smoke alarms, the first thing is the family needs to know the sound of the smoke alarm and then how to respond. You want to have a smoke alarm mounted on the ceiling, but if you do mount it on the wall, ensure that it is no lower than 12 inches from the ceiling. Now, you may have an area or a floor that there's no bedrooms. So put the smoke alarm in a common area, such as a family room or a den, or even close to the stairs. And then when you're thinking about purchasing one, make sure that it has a UL listing on the back. It's going to say UL 217.
Thanks, Sean, for covering those items in the living room. Did you know that less than 10% of smoke alarm failures occur with actually hardwired battery backup smoke alarms? So it's always something to consider to upgrade the smoke alarms in your home. Next, we're going to turn things over to Donnie, where he's going to cover some smoke alarms located in the kitchen.
When discussing smoke alarms in a kitchen, we want to make sure that they are replaced every 10 years per Maryland law. And all battery-powered smoke alarms should have a non-replaceable 10-year battery installed in them. And be sure to follow manufacturer instructions when installing and caring for your smoke alarms. And also make sure they are not installed within 10 feet of a cooking appliance. Especially at my house, when I'm cooking, you do not want a smoke alarm closer than 10 feet. And finally, the National Fire Protection Agency does not recommend installing a smoke alarm in a kitchen.
Thanks, Donnie, for covering the items related to smoke alarms in the kitchen. Did you actually know that unattended cooking is one of the leading causes for fires in homes? So one of the things that our fire department always says is don't invite them to dinner, stay in the kitchen when cooking. Next, we're going to turn things over to Pam, where she's going to cover smoke alarms in hallways and related to the bathroom areas.
Don't install smoke alarms within 36 inches of a bathroom door, horizontally from the bathroom door. You should never install them near doors, windows, or duct diffusers for HVAC equipment. You should always maintain 36 inches between supply and return grills for HVAC equipment to ensure operable function of the smoke detector. Interconnected smoke alarms are recommended, and that means that they go off all through the house if one of them goes off. And they should be the same manufacturer to make sure that they're compatible with one another. They can be hardwired or wireless technology, and you should never cover, paint, or alter your smoke detector devices to make sure that they are properly functioning.
Thanks, Pam, for covering those items. One of the things that you need to be aware of that is if you actually have a battery-powered smoke alarm and you decide to upgrade it to a hardwired smoke alarm, it must always stay a hardwired smoke alarm. You cannot replace a hardwired alarm with a battery-powered alarm. That is considered a higher level of protection, and you must keep that level of protection. Next, we're going to turn things over to me, where I'm actually in the bedroom. All right, so lastly here, we're in the bedroom, and we're going to talk about attic areas. So when you are working with smoke alarms, you want to make sure you always keep the manufacturer's instruction manual. They should not be thrown away. Also, with mounting of smoke detectors or smoke alarms near a bedroom, they should be in the bedroom area per the property maintenance code. We always recommend that they should be inside and outside the bedroom, but they are to be in the bedroom area. Also, wall-mounted smoke alarms, like Sean has already mentioned, that they should be no more than 12 inches from the ceiling to the top of the detector. Now, let's say you had a high ceiling, like that's 9 foot tall, you should have the smoke detector within that 1 foot of the ceiling. And then with ceiling fans, like a lot of times we'll have ceiling fans in bedrooms that from the tip of the blade to the actual smoke alarm should be no more, or should be more than 36 inches away. And then also for attics and garages that are unconditioned spaces, smoke alarms should not be located in those areas because the ambient temperature could be less than 40 degrees or more than 100 degrees. Thanks, Paul, for covering the items in a bedroom. Actually, you know, fires are very hot, dark, and fast and can be deadly. It only takes 30 seconds for a small fire to get completely out of control. So always make sure that your smoke alarms and carbon monoxide alarms are placed, that they're working, they operate, and that they're always in good condition. So one of the things that we always want to make sure with these webinar series here is that our goal is to cover, you know, what we typically look for while conducting an inspection, and to make sure everyone understands kind of what we're looking at and how we're inspecting things. So, you know, if you have specific questions related to your property, please always feel free to email us at codecompliance@hagerstownmd.org to ask those questions. Now we'll open things up to some general questions that anyone may have. And again, that's just tapping or clicking on that Q&A button to be able to ask those questions. Some of the ones that we typically have on here is that, you know, that what we covered today was basically for a 1 and 2 family home. We did not get into the requirements for 3 unit structures or 4 or more unit structures. So please always go to our website to be able to look those things up to see what other items that there might be requirements for when you have a multiple unit apartment building. Also, one of the things that we want to make everyone aware of is that the proper placement of the smoke alarms is important. That is completely wrong again, Eric. I wanted to say that it was the placement. Okay. How do you want me to cut that one? Because I didn't move. You want me to go with our goal? Or you want me to go from the beginning where I say, Paul, it's fire, it's hot, dark, and fast? Where do you want me to start?
If we can go from the beginning.
Okay, not a problem. All right.
Make it just one seamless.
Yeah, I know, it's easier for you.
Yeah, if we had a way to cut it up or a way to cover it.
Yep, you're right. We don't.
We don't. Okay.
All right. All right, thanks, Paul, for covering those items that are related into a bedroom. All right, so one of the things that you should always know is that fire is hot, dark, fast, and deadly. It only takes 30 seconds for a small fire to get completely out of control. So you want to make sure that your smoke alarms and CO alarms are always up to date, that they're operating and they're properly mounted and located to alert people when needed. So our goal for these inspection series is always to let you know what items that we're looking for while we're conducting a rental interior inspection. You know, if you have specific questions about your rental property, please always feel free to email us at codecompliance@hagerstownmd.org to ask us those questions. If you have any specific questions right now, you can certainly always tap on that Q&A button to ask those. One of the general questions that we get a lot of times with smoke alarms is the different requirements. Today we covered items for 1 and 2 family homes, but we did not cover the things for a 3 unit structure or a 4 or more unit structure. So those are one of the items that you want to actually visit our website, and you can go to www.hagerstowncode.org and click on frequently asked questions to see all the different requirements related to smoke alarms or carbon monoxide alarms. Also, another thing I wanted to point out is that we did not cover all the different mounting locations that could be associated with a smoke alarm. That we didn't cover peak ceilings, tray ceilings, or slope ceilings. Those were more common questions. Again, if you go to our frequently asked questions, you can see where all the proper mounting locations are because we have graphics for each of those. And then now we kind of go to any questions that we may have received. And one of the common questions that we've been getting in here is that the proper placement when a wall-mounted smoke alarm. So a wall-mounted smoke alarm, if it's mounted on the wall, it has to be no more than 12 inches from where the ceiling and the wall meet. So the top of the detector has to be no more than 12 inches from the ceiling to the top of the detector to be in compliance there. If it's more than 12 inches down, then it is too far. And that goes the same if you have a 9-foot ceiling, 10-foot ceiling, the smoke alarm still has to be within that 1 foot of the ceiling. So that's a common question that we generally get here that I wanted to answer. So again, if you have any questions, feel free to always email us at codecompliance@hagerstownmd.org. If you're viewing this later, we'll always certainly answer any questions you may have. I'd like to thank everyone for being part of this webinar series. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media platforms. We have Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. You can search for PCAD Hagerstown, and that's PCAD Hagerstown, and be able to find us on any of those social media platforms. And please follow us. And again, I'd like to thank everyone for being part of this series. you.